Despite this laptop being almost 20 years old, it is easily one of my favorite laptops that Apple has ever made. So I mentioned this in a previous video, but I want to go into more detail about one of my favorite laptops that Apple has ever made. And it's not even called a MacBook. This is the 12-inch PowerBook G4. Despite this laptop predating a lot of things from Apple's lineup, like the aluminum unibody and the MacBook title, it also has a lot of things that I just love about Apple's design from this era that carried over to today. For example, Apple gave you a nearly square display for more vertical screen real estate when working on things like documents and photos. Apple also wanted to make sure that the keyboard was a full-size keyboard with very minor compromises, so the width of the laptop was dictated by the width of a keyboard, and man did they run this thing close to the edge. Most PowerBooks of this era also put their disk drive right here, so when it was on a desk it was easy to grab, but this was the first time that Apple actually moved the disk drive over to the side. And this was actually something Apple continued to do right up until they removed the disk drive from all of their laptops. The ports are definitely showing their age by today's standards, but back then they were modern and plentiful, even more than what we have on modern Macs today. And despite the trackpad being very small by today's standards and having a rather outdated click button, you do have gesture-based scrolling, which is kind of wild. But probably my favorite part about this laptop is that despite it being a 12-inch version compared to the larger 15 and 17-inch models, there was almost no performance compromise going with the smaller model. And when I say almost no performance compromises, I mean that this came with a 1.5 GHz PowerPC G4 and 1.25 gigabytes of RAM, and the larger 15 and 17-inch models came with a 1.67 GHz PowerPC G4 and 2 gigabytes of RAM. So unless you absolutely needed an extra 750 megabytes of RAM or 170 megahertz of performance, this thing was an extremely portable version of its larger counterparts with, again, little to no compromise in terms of performance. And if all that wasn't already amazing, the battery is replaceable with a little power LED, and this is your RAM door, so if you went with a lower RAM tier, you could upgrade to the 1.25 gigabyte maximum. Frankly, the concept of this laptop being a compact but equally powerful version of its larger counterparts is what influenced my purchasing decision of the 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 processor. And if you want to learn more about this laptop, I actually made a video. You can check it out down below.